Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. So we're continuing in our new series, after we finish this tafsir of Surah Maryam, on ways to improve and upgrade our salah. So we talked about various different ways to improve our khushu', our concentration and focus in the salah, such as preparing yourself properly before the salah, making sure you make wudu and pray your sunnah before, so that way you can get your mind set. We talked about how to make sure your movements are clean and slow and crisp, making sure you're focused on the ayats that you're reciting and the du'as that you're saying, and switching them up often so that you don't get into autopilot. And now inshallah we'll talk about one last thing, and then after that we'll move on to outside of the salah. So for the last thing that you can do with regards to being inside the salah or immediately right after, actually, is the adhkar after the salah. Immediately after the salah, sitting and making sure you're doing your adhkar. And especially when we're busy, it's really tempting to just say Assalamu alaikum, and then Assalamu alaikum, right? You do three taslims, you know? You say Assalamu alaikum, and then ma'as-salam everybody, right? It's very tempting to do that. But the Prophet ﷺ, we all know obviously after the salah, you say what, the first 3 times? Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Not because you just did something bad, but maybe you didn't put forth your best effort in the salah, so you're asking Allah for forgiveness. You weren't focused, etc. But on top of that, the Prophet ﷺ, when he would do his adhkar, there's different forms in which he would do it. So for instance, we all know doing the tasbih and tahmeed, etc., 33 times. But there are some sunnahs of only doing it 10 times, right? And if you're in a rush, at least do a few of them, even if it's just 10 times as the Prophet ﷺ did it as well. Okay? And it's best to remain seated, but if you have to go and it's something you're on the way, okay, no problem, stand up and do your adhkar as you're walking, right? Just to kind of keep that lingering there, and then also asking Allah for forgiveness for what you did in the salah that might have distracted you from it, and not giving it your full attention as it deserves, by the way, right? The salah deserves your full attention, and our seeking Allah's forgiveness is because we didn't do what it deserves. The next section, ways to improve our concentration in the salah, has to do with external factors. So for instance, number 1, removing anything that would be a distraction in your place of prayer. So for instance, the Prophet ﷺ, it's narrated that Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she had like a curtain hanging in her house to cover like one of the rooms. And it was a very nice curtain. It had some decorations. It was very colorful, very pretty. And the Prophet ﷺ, he prayed. And then after the prayer, he asks for it to be removed because it distracted him. And it was a distraction in the salah. And so it's narrated that she went and she took it and she turned it into some pillow cases. Okay? Sometimes we have like Jai Namaz, the prayer rug. And mashallah, it's like a maze. You know, we get lost inside of it. Or the decorations on the carpet that we have, or whatever. Even in our house, I've been to a house, they had their prayer rug right there, right in front of the TV, mashallah. So hopefully the TV is off, but still, right? So when you're praying at home, right, you're at a masjid, make sure that, you know, some places they have like the TVs in front, but they're always scrolling. So like you're like reading what's going on, you know? So, so we should try to remove any distractions from our place of prayer. Okay, whether it's a curtain, whether it's a fancy prayer rug, even the clothes of the Prophet ﷺ, he had a shirt that had some checkered patterns on it. And so the Prophet ﷺ replaced it with something that wasn't, so it wouldn't distract him in the salah, you know. Our phones, that's a big one, right? MashaAllah, who's texting me? Let me check my Apple iWatch, let me make sure, you know. What time is it, you know? So make sure you remove these types of distractions from your place of prayer. Making sure you don't pray in a place where people are walking through. So there are certain places, obviously, you know you were not supposed to pray, right? So a graveyard, a restroom, okay? But also, a common walkway is also somewhere you're not supposed to pray, like a sidewalk that's busy, you know? Imagine like you're going to the mall and you're walking and you're shopping and all of a sudden, the whole prayer, okay, fine, bismillah, right here in front of everybody. Come on, it's gonna... Either everyone's going to distract you or you're going to harm the people. Either way, you should find somewhere else to pray Not because of you're ashamed, no, but because you're not supposed to pray where people are walking. Even inside the masjid. When you pray somewhere for your sunnah, try to be off, have a sutra, as the Prophet ﷺ would teach us. Something as a barrier right in front of your area for sujood. So if people are walking by, they can just walk around that instead. Okay? So don't be a nuisance in where you choose to pray, for instance. All right? The next one is when the food is prepared, making sure that, imagine, mashallah, the biryani comes out and it's nice and hot. And it smells, the whole house smells. And the adhan just came in. And mashallah, we should be very pious. Allahu Akbar. Let us go pray. What do you think you're going to think of in the prayer? Come on. It's either going to be the fastest prayer, right? Everyone behind you is going to be like, hurry up. Why didn't you just say the quls, huh? Right? No. So the Prophet ﷺ, he gives us some leeway. Right? So if the adhan comes in and it's time for the iqamah and the food is prepared, eat. Right? And don't rush. Don't swallow the whole plate and then go. Right? Don't rush. Eat, but then also go to pray. Now don't stuff yourself to the point where you can't pray anymore. That's also a problem. Right? So don't make, for instance, this thing a distraction. That's why during Ramadan, there's two problems we have. Number one is, it's time for adhan for Maghrib. You eat one day and then you go pray. But then you're still hungry and the food is there. So maybe you have something like a date, 3 dates, a cup of water, no problem. A watermelon piece, no problem. But then if you have all of iftar right at the adhan, you're not going to be able to pray, right? Allah knows what's going to happen when you go for sujood. It's going to be a tough problem. So make sure that you have something so that you're not obsessed with what's going to happen after. Hurry up, pray quickly. Not to distract you, to make the prayer hasty. And just like the food, right? There's other things. For instance, needing to use the bathroom. Right? Someone needs to use the bathroom and it's time to pray and they're like, you know what, let me just pray so I don't have to make wudu again. Right? So they pray and they have to use the restroom and they're afraid of or they're too lazy to make wudu again. This is obviously going to be another problem. Okay? So not trying to rush the prayer because something else is happening. So try to remove these things and obstacles away from your prayer before you even begin. Right? As the Prophet ﷺ, he says, there is no prayer when there is food prepared or if someone is suppressing their urge to go to the restroom. Okay? And the last one is not praying in a place where people are constantly talking. The last one we'll talk about. Or sleeping. Okay? So if you're inside the masjid and the brothers are talking after the sunnah prayer, you walk up right to the group and you're right behind them, you say Allahu Akbar, right? And they're talking right in front of you. Okay? Pick somewhere else to go pray in the musalla, for instance. Or at home, they're having dinner and you need to go pray real fast, you have to go pray Maghrib or whatever it is. You came home late and they're already eating dinner. Pray in a different room so you're not a part of the conversation too. It's going to be distracting, right? So make sure that you do all of these things. This Sunday is the Super Bowl, right? Inshallah, we're all too pious to watch it, but I'm sure for those that do, right? Making sure you turn the TV off, okay? Making sure that if people are praying, you either pray together as a jama'ah or there's a separate place for people to pray where they're kind of separated. They're not listening to the game that's happening. Oh, who scored? Right? Allahu Akbar. Go Chiefs, by the way. Huh? Okay? So you're not distracted from the other things that are going on around you in your environment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who upgrade our salah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those whose salah is accepted. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our prayers and forgive us our shortcomings. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين جزاك الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Just a quick announcement for tomorrow, inshallah, we have Sheikh Suhail coming. Beautiful program, inshallah, Jum'ah. He'll be talking about love stories from the companions. And then tomorrow night, inshallah, we'll talk about love languages in Islam. And this is all upcoming because of, it's good to have a healthy family, inshallah, day. So have a healthy family, a good relationship with your spouse, inshallah. I won't say the special holiday that's coming up, but we all know what's happening, right? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our families, enriching our lives with our spouses. Allahumma ameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Also, Brother Abdullah, Saturday hiking?